Welcome back, 3D students. In this series of videos, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to use our UVW template that we created, and we're going to texture our sock character. And for this part of the project, we're going to use Photoshop and 3D Studio Max. So you're going to need to make sure you have Photoshop on your computer as well. If you don't have it, sign into Creative Cloud and install it on your computer. So the first thing we need to do is render this UV template that we created. So if you don't have this open, select your character, select the Unwrap UVW modifier here, and click Open UV Editor. And you should have your UVs laid out like we did at the close of the last tutorial. To render this UVW template as an image we could use in Photoshop, we need to come up to Tools, Render UV Template. And here we can set the resolution. Let's change this to 2048 by 2048. That would be 2K. And then let's click Render UV Template, and we should get an image like this. And now we're going to click this little disk icon to save it to the proper folder. You should save it into your project folder. Right now it's in the Scenes folder of my sock character project folder. I'm going to put it I'm going to go back up one level, and I'm going to put it in the Scene Assets Images folder with all my other textures. And I'm going to name this Character UVW 01. And I'm going to make it a JPEG. And let's click Save. Click OK here. And we now have a UVW template that we can use to create the texture for our character in Photoshop. So let's close this and this and this. And let's create a material for our character that will create the fabric texture, the actual texture of the fabric for us, and the color. So let's pull the physical material out into the slate area, and let's apply it to our character. And in order to make this actually look like fabric, we're going to have to use a displacement map. Go to the assignment in Canvas and download the knit fabric displacement map that I have provided for you there. And once you've done that, go to your downloads folder and place it inside the Scene Assets Images folder of your sock character project folder. Here is the fabric knit bump image that I asked you to download from the Canvas assignment. And I've opened a new window here, a new Explorer window, by hitting Control-N on my keyboard. And I'm simply going to navigate to my project folder, which is on my external hard drive. And I'm going to put this in the Scene Assets Images folder. Just going to drag it right in there. And now that that's done, we can close both of these. And back to our material editor, we're going to find the displacement map. I'm going to drag off of that, general bitmap, and we're going to choose that fabric bump map that we downloaded. Now you don't see any effect here because this is an Arnold material and it will only appear when we render in Arnold. So let's move our material editor a little bit. We're going to need to adjust the tiling of this texture, so we need to have this open. But let's go ahead and click the teapot and render our image. And you can see that we now have some texture happening here. Let's click the little play button here to make it live. And then let's move him, zoom in on a little bit so we can see. Now that looks pretty terrible. So we need to adjust the tiling. So click the image in your material editor and make sure this button is live, and then we're going to find the tiling here, and right here let's try 5 and 5. You can see that's looking better. This may be different for your character depending on how large he is. Like 10 and 10. Now it still doesn't look great, but there are some things we can do to help that. Let's go to our Create tab and select Lights, and we're going to select Arnold Lights, and let's create an Arnold light and put it in the scene. And then go to the Modify tab and let's change this to a sky dome, and that immediately looks a lot better. Now let's select our character, and we're going to try one more thing. Let's go to the modifier list, and we're going to select Arnold Properties here. And under Arnold Properties, we have a displacement setting group here. So let's open that up. So let's leave that like it is, and we're going to close that. And then let's find Subdivision, which is right here. Click Enable, and you can immediately see a difference here. Make sure this says Catmull Clark, and I'm going to change the iterations to 3. And you can immediately see a big difference. Now let's zoom out a little bit, take a look at it from a distance. And that looks super good. So that's the first step. In the next video, what we're going to do is start to create our color map here using Photoshop. And I'll see you then.